Learning is important, right?
Yes, exactly. What a bunch of nerds.
Nerd alert.
That's right.
Marketing Architects.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Jasper. I run the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Demars, the Chief Product Architect of Misfits and Machines.
Hello, hello.
Hello, we are back with your weekly Nerd Alert. Every week I'll take a deep dive into academic marketing research and translate its complex ideas into simple, understandable language for Rob. And of course, for all of you, are you ready to nerd out, Rob?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do this.
All right, let's get into it. As always, we'll link the research we cover in the episode notes. This week, I read a research paper from Lumen and Ebiquity titled Maximizing Profit Through Attention. And in the study, attention is defined as the amount of focused time a viewer spends actively engaging with an ad, which is measured in attentive seconds per 1,000 impressions. But before we get into the details, Rob, we've talked a lot about attention before on the show, but that was a while ago, and there's been a lot of progress and research on this, which is like a new and growing field that's been published since then. So what do you think about attention metrics, and how much attention should marketers put on them?
Whew, I heard that. I saw what you did there, Elena. God, this is such a tough topic. I think that attention metrics tend to be linked with quality. So if someone's actually watching the video, and are they watching it all the way through? And that's important when your particular campaign is linked to things like brand recall. But I think it's also, continue to be debated on how much do attention metrics actually relate to sales in the bottom line.
We are going to cover that today. So that's what this study is trying to do, because I think that attention, it's been kind of a hot topic, but people are sort of wondering, like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I measure it? What do I do with it? And this caught my eye because anytime there's research around that benefits TV advertising, I'm interested in it. Okay. I'll admit that I work in a TV agency and attention metrics love TV. I've shared this chart before on my LinkedIn, but broadcast TV, it drives more attention than pretty much like all other marketing channels, like digital, social combined, which it's just, I got to share that chart again because it's just unbelievable. So that's how I got interested in it. But even if you're not on TV, I think you're going to find this interesting. So Ebiquity and Lumen, they teamed up to look at how the amount of attention an ad received correlates to actual profit, not just clicks or conversions, but profit. And to start, they wanted to understand whether there's a direct connection between how long people pay attention to an ad and the profitability that ad generates. So the attention metric they're focusing on here is what I talked about before, attentive seconds per 1,000 impressions. So that's essentially how long a viewer stays tuned in per 1,000 views. And it turns out that there is a clear and strong link between that and profitability. So Rob, take a guess. How close do you think the correlation is between how much an attention an ad earns and the incremental profit it drives?
See, I don't think that attention correlates to sales. I mean, if I lit a billboard on fire during rush hour traffic, it's going to get a lot of attention, but it doesn't mean that people are going to buy that product. I think there's still the persuasion element, damn it, when it comes to advertising. Darn it.
Well, okay. Well, the persuasion, like you could argue that maybe persuasion in ad formats that let you pay more attention, you have the possibility for more persuasion.
It's certainly the front door. If you don't have someone's attention, then you're not going to be able to persuade them. But that doesn't mean it's going to work just because you get someone's attention, I guess is more where I was going with it.
Well, I tried to help you out because you're wrong.
I don't think I'm wrong on this one.
You don't think you disagree with them?
I'm passionate about this one.
Well,
hear me. Give me the research. Give me the research. This is why we do this.
I'll walk you through it. But I should say that this is the type of study that people like Byron Sharp don't like because it's funded by vendors.
With Byron on this one.
Of course, that's because he agrees with you. That's because he'd agree with you. Let's talk about it because let's talk about it and then you can.
All right, let's talk about it.
So according to this study, the data showed almost a perfect correlation between attention and incremental profit. So for all of our statisticians out there, we're talking about a 98% correlation. That's rare in research, and it means it's very likely that these two factors are in sync, and it's very likely that Rob is very wrong about it.
Very likely it was funded by a source. Yep, okay. Keep going.
But Rob, this benefits TV, so come on, stop questioning. But what does this mean for your different media channels? Let's talk about that. Rob, let's see if you can get this one. What channels do you think drive the highest attention from consumers?
We already said television, so that
Yeah,
one
I
doesn't
gave you that
count.
one.
And I would say, I think podcasting, because people are passionate about the long form content and they are going to follow along with the host. And then probably anything with an addictive scroll.
I don't know the answer for podcasts. I'm sure that's in there. I don't remember what it said, but I can compare a few of them here. So some channels obviously deliver much higher levels of attention. You were thinking through that there. Think about going to the movies. You're in a dark theater with surround sound and a big screen. You're more or less locked into the experience, which is why cinema ads, unsurprisingly, had the highest attentive seconds and generated the most incremental profit, around 102 pounds for every 1,000 impressions. So TV ads, they delivered strong attention, but not quite on cinema's level. So they clocked in at about 48 pounds per 1,000 impressions. And what about digital? Well, no surprise, online display ads scored pretty poorly on attention. They rarely hold our focus for long, and according to this study, they drive the least profit, just around 3 pounds per 1,000 impressions. So the relationship seems pretty straightforward. The more engaged people are with the medium, the more profit it can potentially generate. But here's where things get a little more complex. So naturally, the cost to run ads across different media channels varies. So cinema is expensive, as is TV, unless you work with marketing architects, while online display is cheap. This difference.
It's not an ad, Elena.
This is not an advertisement. Hey, people get all this great content for free. We could put in a tiny little plug, marketing architects. So the difference in cost is somewhat kind of pricing in attention, they think. So high attention media tends to cost more to advertise. However, they also yield better results. So the study introduced a metric called the cost per 1,000 attentive seconds, which factors in both the ad's cost and the attention it receives. Surprisingly, not all media is priced according to the amount of attention it delivers. So cinema and TV, they have high attention costs, and that aligns with the returns you might expect. But other channels like online video sometimes provide a good balance between attention and cost, meaning they're undervalued relative to the attention they drive. So there could be some deals here for marketers. And here's a takeaway. Traditionally, we focused on reach and frequency as the benchmarks of media planning. You want to get your message to as many people as possible, as often as possible at the lowest cost. But according to the study, not all reach is equal. Media planners and brands that rely only on reach without considering the quality of attention might be missing a big opportunity to increase profits. So brands that want to optimize their ROI could benefit from choosing channels that bring the best cost-attention balance, even if those channels don't seem the cheapest on the surface. And now for our Rob GPT. This study is like a spotlight at a concert, showing that the longer you get people's attention focused on you, the bigger the encore or profit you'll get. All right, Rob, did that change your mind at all, or are you still skeptical?
I think the Rob GPT that I would redo is I disagree. That would be the Rob G. No, I think that of course it makes sense that if ads are driving a ton of attention, that they're primed to do some good advertising. But I just don't think that it's the only factor. I think it's like the peanut butter and the jelly, that when they come together, you've got magic, but by themselves, it's like the Super Bowl, right? So much attention is drawn to those ads, but they are not necessarily the most persuasive pieces of advertising that have been done. And I think that's an old story to tell, but one that's pretty well worn.
I'd argue with the Super Bowl, the attention's probably really high, but the cost is also really high, which is what they were kind of talking about at the end. Like,
sure,
the price you pay for attention matters, and when is it worth it? I think that's why like our model on TV does so well, because we're really focused on bringing down the cost of TV for our clients, which helps because TV naturally is quite expensive, and brands are probably asking, is it worth it? Yeah, I get more attention, but is the return worth it? But if you can bring the cost down or find bargains, like they're saying, like online video right now is a little bit of a bargain, at least in the UK. But I don't know, it makes logical sense to me that display ads don't have a lot of potential to drive profit for you because you aren't even always seeing them. And like, you have to see it.
You have to see it. I mean, that's just job one, right? It's like you have to see the ad and you have to stay with it long enough. It has to be intriguing enough to keep you watching it and then ultimately come in there and be able to sell someone. So that's all. I think we're probably in violent agreement on this one. I'm just saying our job isn't done just by getting attention. We also have to persuade.
I should also mention that they don't have a lot of data points here. So your skepticism is probably warranted. Like, they got to 98%. There needs to be more research done here. But it's kind of fun to talk about something that's a little bit emerging.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely, I think we've gotten better at when we review things on the show, like having some level of skepticism. So I appreciate that. And also, you're right. It's not like putting a bad commercial on a channel with high attention is not a strategy. Like attention's not the only thing that matters
Right.
with your advertising.
I like my billboard analogy. I thought you'd like that. You light a billboard on fire in the middle of rush hour. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I actually didn't think it was that good.
No, I think
I'm
so.
just kidding. But I guess just the point of, sure, you can definitely get someone's attention through a lot of different tactics. I think a lot of times you see cheap shots being taken by brands going, we use this particular outrageous tactic. It got so much attention or so much press. But then at the end of the day, did it actually lead to transformation in sales for that company? And I feel like more often than not, you hear, yeah, that actually didn't work. But sure, we got a lot of headlines from it.
That's a great point. It makes me think of the Snoop Dogg solo stove story.
Yes, absolutely.
That went completely viral. It's hilarious, their whole campaign idea. But they admitted later that it didn't impact the company in the way they wanted it to. And someone ended up getting fired. And
it was borrowed interest that didn't truly relate to a persuasive argument.
That's a really good point, Rob. There's no substitute for good marketing. Just like understanding your audience, what they want, what they need. Like, yeah, you could create content that's entertaining for people, but unless they connect your brand to like a problem that they have, a job to be done, you're going to have some trouble. And I think we've seen that too when we pre-test spots for our advertisers. Like sometimes we put in a couple commercials and see like which is going to perform the best. And sometimes it's a bummer. What performs the best? You're like, oh, this ad is so fun. Like they got dogs, they got cats. Like it's so creative. There's glitter everywhere. Like, oh, why can't this one work? But really like the practical message about why this benefits you is actually going to drive a better response and better sales. So sometimes it'd be fun if the fun stuff won all the time, but
that's why we, go for the and try to achieve for the and.
Love it. All right. That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. We'd like to thank Taylor De Los Reyes for producing the show. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you like the podcast, please leave us a review. Now go forth and build great marketing.
Marketing Architects.